first question is to introduce yourself. What is your name and what is your background?
My name is Anatoly Levshin. I'm a postdoc with Professor John Eikenberry's Reimagining World Order research community at Princeton University. And this fall, I will be joining the Belfer Center at Harvard University under Professor Stephen Walt's supervision as a postdoc with their international security program.
Can you give me a summary overview of your research interests or elements of your current project?
My research examines states' use of military and non-military sanctions to enforce peace, a practice which dates back to the beginning of the 19th century and which I call multilateral pacification. Some pertinent examples of multilateral pacification include the neutralization of Belgium and Luxembourg by the Concert of Europe in the 19th century, the pursuit of collective security through the League of Nations and the United Nations in the 20th century, as well as the territorial guarantee of the Franco-German border under the treaties of Locarno in the interwar period. Now, my study of multilateral pacification is organized around three primary questions. The first question is, does multilateral pacification succeed? Can states actually promulgate rules limiting the use of military power and in so doing limit the incidence of war? In order to answer this question, I assemble an original dataset of regimes of multilateral pacification and leverage multi-agent deep inverse reinforcement learning for causal inference. The second big question is, why do states pursue multilateral pacification in the first place? What rationales, what concerns guide policymakers to resolve, to cooperatively pacify international system? To answer this question, I conduct case studies of the origins of several regimes of multilateral pacification, including the two most ambitious regimes of multilateral pacification, the League of Nations and the United Nations, as organizations of collective security. Building on extensive archival research, I arrived at the conclusion that states pursue multilateral pacification most often in order to dampen the risk of the inefficient escalation of interstate wars. The third big question that my research addresses is, why do some regimes of multilateral pacification succeed where others fail? Now, this question has special significance today as policymakers and scholars are increasingly debating the viability of the permanent neutralization of Ukraine as a necessary component in any settlement that would eventually conclude the Russo-Ukrainian War. My answer to this question builds on the strategic intuitions of the founders of the League of Nations and the United Nations. I argue with them that multilateral pacification succeeds when it effectively dampens the risk of the inefficient escalation of interstate wars. And to confirm this answer, I use network analysis to quantitatively model that risk, and then I apply causal mediation analysis in order to confirm the causal effect. These answers I developed over a series of working papers, as well as my first book manuscript, tentatively entitled The Statecraft of Pacification, the League of Nations, United Nations, and Cooperative Regulation of Systemic Risk of Interstate Wars.